Managing a security team is so much more than just patrols and protocols. It's really all about the people. In this explainer, we're going to dive into the manager's HR playbook, and we'll cover everything from that very first interview all the way to those tough disciplinary conversations. So let's get started on building your absolute best team. So let me ask you this. What do you think is the single most expensive mistake a manager can make? You might be thinking it's a blown budget, a major operational failure, maybe even a security breach. And yeah, those are all bad for sure. But the real answer? It might not be what you expect. It's often something else entirely. And here's the kicker. That mistake, it often happens before an employee even signs the contract. That's right, a bad hire. Getting this one decision wrong at the very beginning can set off a chain reaction of legal headaches and financial drains that can seriously impact your entire organization. Which is a perfect lead-in to our first section. Let's really break down why getting the right person in the door is your most important line of defense against all kinds of future problems. Okay, before you even think about writing a job description, you need to know about this crucial legal concept. It's called a Bona Fide Occupational Qualification, or BFOQ for short. Now, think of it as a very, very rare get-out-of-jail-free card that lets you specify something that would normally be discriminatory. A classic example is a mandatory retirement age for airline pilots, right? It's all about safety. But I have to warn you, for almost all security roles, BFOQs are incredibly rare. You have to be super careful here. This right here, this is the golden rule. It simplifies a huge, complicated area of employment law into one powerful, easy-to-remember principle. If your question isn't directly tied to the candidate's ability to actually perform the job, just don't ask it. It's really that simple. And these are the classic landmines. Asking about someone's marriage, their kids, their religion, or their arrest history, which is different from convictions, by the way, is a huge red flag. Why? Because none of this tells you if they can do the job, but it absolutely opens your company up to a discrimination lawsuit. So the key is to flip your thinking. Focus on the job's requirements, not the person's life. You can get the info you need, you just have to frame the question the right way. Instead of asking about childcare, you ask, this job requires working nights and weekends. Is there anything that would prevent you from meeting that schedule? See the difference? It's subtle, but it's legally critical. All right, you've made a conditional offer. Now comes the verification step. And look, a background check isn't just a nice to have. It is your due diligence. It's about protecting your company, your clients, and the public from a very specific and very serious legal risk. And this is that risk. It's called negligent hiring. Imagine you hire a guard, but you never checked their criminal record. Then that guard assaults someone while on duty. Your company could be held liable. The legal argument is that you should have known they were a risk. This is why that due diligence is absolutely non-negotiable. So, you've hired the right person. Awesome. But the job's not done. Not even close. Now, how do you train them to be successful? Let's walk through a great, structured way to build a team that's ready for anything. The ADDIE model is this fantastic 5-step framework for creating training that actually works. First, you analyze what's missing. Say, your team doesn't know the new fire panel. Then you design the training, you develop the materials, and you implement it. But, and this is the most important part, you evaluate. Did it actually work? Can they use that panel in a real emergency? It's a full-circle process that makes sure your training efforts aren't a waste of time. A well-trained team is great, but you know what's even better? A motivated team. A motivated team is basically unstoppable. So how do you unlock that drive? Let's check out a couple of classic theories that really help decode what makes people tick. Okay, Herzberg's theory is a total game changer once you get it. It basically says that job factors fall into 2 different buckets. In one bucket, you have hygiene factors, things like salary, company rules, job security. Now, if these things are bad, people are unhappy. But here's the twist. Making them good doesn't make people motivated. It just makes them not unhappy. The real motivation comes from the other bucket, the motivators. Things like getting recognized for good work, being given real responsibility and a sense of achievement. That's the stuff that makes someone go the extra mile. So what's the big lesson here? It's that you can't fix a motivation problem with a hygiene factor. Bumping up someone's pay might keep them from quitting, sure, but it won't inspire them to be a superstar. For that, you have to feed them motivators. Give them opportunities to achieve something, recognize their wins, and trust them with more responsibility. Now this next one, this is about you. It's about looking in the mirror and understanding your own core beliefs about people because that shapes your entire leadership style. A Theory X manager basically believes people are lazy and you have to watch them like a hawk. A Theory Y manager believes people naturally want to do a good job and will thrive if you give them a little autonomy. So which one are you? Being honest about that is the first step to becoming a better leader. All right, we got to talk about what might be the toughest part of being a manager: discipline. When things go sideways, how you handle it is everything. So let's look at a process that's fair, legally defensible, and is actually focused on correcting behavior, not just punishing it. The gold standard here is a process called progressive discipline. Think of it like an escalator. It's a series of steps that get more serious over time. You always start with a documented verbal warning. If the problem continues, you move to a formal written warning, then maybe a suspension, and only as a last resort termination. Following these steps shows you've been fair and you've given the employee every single chance to improve. And that is absolutely critical if you ever end up in court. And this brings us to the single most important rule of discipline. If you take away one thing, let it be this: consistency is everything. Whatever your rules are, they have to apply to everyone every single time. The minute you write up one person for being late, but let your buddy slide for doing the exact same thing, you've just destroyed your authority and opened yourself up to a huge legal mess. Consistency is non-negotiable. So there you have it. We've gone through the real core of the manager's HR playbook: hiring right, training smart, motivating effectively, and disciplining fairly. And these aren't just theories from a textbook. These are practical, powerful tools you can start using today to build a stronger, more professional team. So the real question is, which tool are you going to use first?